What's up, guys? Welcome to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath and I'm glad you're here. In this video, I'm going to be showing you my Beatles movie DVD Blu-ray collection, kind of a collection spotlight, and we'll do this from time to time, just pull some things off the shelf and talk about it, because what is the point of having a collection if you're not going to talk about what's in the collection and like enjoy the collection? So I know that the Beatles only had a set number of movies, but they're like, I have a surprisingly large stack of stuff here to show you. So and I will also warn you ahead of time that it's hard to talk about the Beatles without talking like the Beatles. If you're offended by that, I apologize in advance. No harm intended to Liverpool or any of those areas. So with that being said, let's just get right into it. We'll start with the primary sources, the holy gospel of the Beatles. We'll start with The Hard Day's Night. I have the Criterion collection version of this. Back in the day, I used to have a DVD version of it, but this Criterion collection is like, it's the bee's knees. It's got a sweet, like, well, here, oh, so here's the discs. So it's a 3-disc set, which is amazing. It's got, is it two DVDs and a Blu-ray, which might, you know, I don't know that I need all that, but that's okay, I have it. This sweet book, which I don't know that I've ever actually looked through this book, but it's pretty sweet. This is, I can't imagine A Hard Day's Night getting a better collection, a better physical media representation is this Criterion collection. I mean, that's what the Criterion collection does, right? Is they're like, it's the pinnacle of cinema. We've lovingly massaged the movie onto a disc, and we've written essays, very scholarly essays. They're very lofty in their presentation. So that's what's here, and it has like a lot of stuff. Like this paragraph right here is all the special features and like the hoopla. So that's that, and then we move into their next feature film, which was Help. So here's honesty, okay? While I really appreciate A Hard Day's Night for what it does for establishing the tone, the dry wit of the Beatles, I love this maybe more because it is more disposable. Certainly it is more, it's goofier, right? And if you know the behind the scenes stuff of what was going on during this period in the Beatles' career, they were hitting some substances, and I think it actually really benefited things. This is a sillier movie. It's a lot less dry and just a lot goofier. This is the Blu-ray, obviously. It has a nice foldable book. It's cardboard. We have another booklet with some sweet photos in here. But, you know, it was really just an excuse to go on vacation, I think, for the Beatles. And they were like, you know, we've never been skiing, so let's go skiing and we'll film. We've never been skiing, so let's go skiing. We'll just sort of film it. You see, that's Paul. That's Paul, you guys. I'm sorry. And then, okay, moving on. Speaking of Paul, this was Paul's baby, Magical Mystery Tour, and while it is a disaster, Magical Mystery Tour is part of the family, right? It's hard to talk about Magical Mystery Tour, how the music of the Beatles. You know, side pet peeve is when you have little flap that won't stay closed. But you know what you can do? You can open it up, you can admire the artwork, and you can push this down. And then it's not a problem anymore. Magical Mystery Tour is it's not good. It came on television in 1967, right? Maybe 68. Oh, crap. I should have looked that up before I hit record. But it is, like I said, it's part of the family, and is the music in it, summer of 67. This is going to get cut out. It's not going to get cut out. Anyway, it's a mess. It's a hot mess. It's an ego project. You can feel Paul's ego all over it, but probably the other ones as well. But it is delightful in its messiness. It's got really great, well, it's the only place you can get I Am the Walrus on film, or like, you know, a visual representation of I Am the Walrus. It's got that cool spaghetti scene, that dream sequence with John Lennon shoveling spaghetti onto the fat lady's plate. That's like, I bet Dali loved Magical Mystery Tour. Salvador Dali, I bet. But like, I like it, but you know, when you're a Beatles fan, you just take it. You're like, well, yeah, maybe it's not as good as the other two movies, but it's the Beatles and they're doing what they do, so it's part of the family. And other people might be like, you can talk about Magical Mystery Tour and be like, it's not very good, but it's fun and it's got stuff in it. But other people can't talk about it if they're not a Beatles fan. If people are like, Magical Mystery Tour is a piece of crap, you're like, excuse me? Excuse me? What? Did you see Magical Mystery Tour? But I will also say, one of the things that I like about this is it has that scene. If you've seen the movie, there's a scene where they go into a tent. It's like a strip show that came on television. It's a TV movie in 1967 or 8. It's like a strip show, and there's a live number. It's not live, but they're like performing is the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. The Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, of which like they were like an art rock satire band that fits, like, if you like Monty Python, the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band is like right in bed with Monty Python, to the point that Neil Innes, I-N-N-E-S, Neil Innes was in the band, and he ended up doing things with both. He's in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. He is brave, so Robin. He is brave, so Robin. He turned his tail, like that guy. That's Neil Innes. He's also in something that we'll be talking about in a little bit. But Bonzo Dog Doodah Band pops up in Magical Mystery Tour, and it's like, I really like that band. And I'm getting into them more heavily. And then Yellow Submarine. I have two versions. I have the original DVD version of this that came out in, it was maybe the late 90s, 1999. I was so happy when this came out. I was like, I can watch this anytime I want to, and it looks so good. And then this Blu-ray kind of came along and like blew it out of the water, no pun intended. But it is a beautiful representation of the surrealism of the movie. I mean, you know, the Beatles had moved on from this at this point. By the time this came out, they had moved on to other things. They were studying with the Maharishi and recording Revolution number 9. But it's got cool stuff in here, like little bonuses. Like, I don't think I've opened this in a while because I don't remember some of this stuff. So there's stickers. It's got some stickers. And it's got cell art. I don't remember this. This is a happy surprise. So it's got cell art. There's Ringo. And this is George. That's George right there. What's this happening, guys? And there's Paul, you see. Paul's is very snazzy. He was a big fan of, you know, putting on the show, you see. And there's John. He almost looks cynical, doesn't he? John and George, they come from the same place in my mouth. That sounded a lot dirtier than I intended it to. So I'm going to pack this back up and pretend that I did not just say that. Yellow Submarine is it's a classic. It's a children's classic. It's a surrealist classic. It's a classic that people watch in altered states. It was made by people who were in altered states. This is a fact. It's on the commentary, and it's in the, like, it's no secret. They were very happy when they made that movie. So where do we go from here? We're not going to go like chronologically from here. I'll just pull things as I want to talk about them. Beatles Anthology. Just finished watching this about a week and a half ago with the whole fam, trying to teach the kid the history of the Beatles, because it can be overwhelming, you know, getting your She Loves You from your Something, your While My Guitar Gently Weeps from your I Want to Hold Your Hand. It's a lot, so we thought we'd sit down and just, well, plus I wanted to watch it again too. Me and the missus wanted to watch it, but this is the only time, as far as I'm aware, that the Beatles told their entire story themselves. There was a companion book for this that I do not have, but I really would like to get the book. It came out like 5 years later. This was in 1995. I was getting into the Beatles in 1995, and it actually had nothing to do with the Beatles Anthology, but I'd gotten a job at a grocery store. It was my first job. The day I turned 16, my parents said, you will enjoy your birthday, and then the day after your birthday, you will go looking for a job. And I was like, okay. So I did. I got a job at a grocery store. I was like fresh-faced, 16 years old, just like, whoa, the world is wonderful and scary. And got the job, and there was like the cool older kid who worked in the dairy department. And he was like the Beatles connection. He was like, hey man, you ever get into the Beatles? And I was like She Loves You? No, I don't think so. Like, I like rock. I'm a rocker, man. And he was like, well, you should probably give him a shot. And he gave me a copy of the White Album. And it just like blew the doors off, right? Like, I was like, the doors of perception were blown open. And I was like, well, this is nothing like what I thought the Beatles were. And then like that summer, the Beatles Anthology came on television. The albums were coming, like the companion CDs were coming out. And it was just like mind blown. It was like overload of Beatles. And it was just like, it set the hook, like a fishing reference in a Beatles video. It set the hook, and I was just hooked for the rest of my life. I will be a Beatles fan, a huge Beatles fan. I read every book that I could get my hands on. I bought those anthologies, and then it was all just like, you know, dominoes top, like picking up the vinyl, picking up the CDs. But having said all that, I'm saying all of that to say that the Beatles Anthology is critical in learning more about them, hearing the tale from their own words. And it's interesting because Paul, in all of his interviews, is still very much trying to please. I'm sure he's being honest, but it's very, you know, PR. It's very like, you know, I didn't really want to do drugs, you see, but then I sort of didn't. And I was like, well, great, I've got to talk about it now. That's not very good, Paul. But it's that kind of thing where he's not like, of course he did drugs. Like, of course. And like, he did heroin too, but he's not going to talk about it in the Beatles Anthology. So you're getting like shined up interviews. George is very frank. George is always very frank. Ringo, very, very like understated, you know, like Ringo, I feel like Ringo has been there and done that, and he's just kind of moved on, because every time I see him, he's mostly just like, you know, we were playing like absolute garbage, you see. Couldn't hear himself, and it was just bad. And like, that's always his attitude. He's just like, yeah, no. So they are who they are. But Beatles Anthology is critical watching. I would also say, on that note, this is a good documentary to pick up as well. This is it's called Produced by George Martin. It is a documentary about George Martin. Not just the Beatles, like his whole career, but he is the fifth Beatle. I think we would all consider him to be. There are many fifth Beatles, but I think that he's probably the truest deserving of the title of the fifth Beatle, because he produced all of the albums. He was in the recording booth, he's playing instruments on some of the songs. Like, George Martin, fifth Beatle. This is a documentary about George Martin. He has since passed away, but it's good that they got this out. This is from 1996? Anyway, so that's a rarity. Like, I don't know how many videos you're seeing on YouTube about the Beatles with that in it. I will also say, critical for fans of the Beatles, a documentary, the ultimate documentary probably, is the George Harrison documentary, Living in the Material World. This is amazing. And I did just watch it again after the Beatles Anthology. We watched Living in the Material World. What an amazing, it's about 4 hours, but what an amazing portrait of a guy's life, the warts and all, the drugs, the weaknesses, but it's never like the weaknesses don't overshadow who he is. Just remarkable storytelling. It was compiled, say it was directed by Martin Scorsese. He does this from time to time. Like, he'll come into a project. No Direction Home, the Bob Dylan documentary, is another one where the interviews were there, they were all done, and he just puts them together and kind of compiles a narrative. That is directing. You know, I give him credit for that, but I don't know that it's like he spearheaded this project from the get-go and it was a passion project. He came in and he put things together, but he did it really well. There's a lot of cool people talking about this. Ringo's on here, Eric Idle's on here, Terry Gilliam from Monty Python. That's two Monty Python people. Eric Clapton, Tom Petty, Phil Spector, Yoko. You know, Paul's on here. Paul dropping F-bombs on this one, so less eager to please on this one. The last documentary, I think this is the last documentary. Whoa! Imagine the John Lennon. Let's see if this will. There we go. The John Lennon. It's basically a bio documentary. A bio documentary sounds like it's like a Godzilla bio doc. Godzilla versus bio doc. It's about John Lennon. It's about his ups and downs, basically after the Beatles. This is a spotlight of what John was doing after the Beatles up until the time of his assassination in December of 1980. It's good. I don't watch it all that much because it's very heavy, and it's honestly just really sad. Like everything that happened with John after the Beatles is just really sad to me. So it's not something that I watch a lot, but it's in the collection. I'm really glad to have it. It has some decent special features. If I remember correctly, it has in the film it has an acoustic, or it's like a piano acoustic demo version of Real Love. So there's a companion soundtrack for it, and it's like the song that the Beatles polished up for the Anthology 2. The original demo for that is on the Imagine movie and the soundtrack. So let's move into, oh, I forgot this primary source, the Beatles One project. This is the Blu-ray version, the Blu-ray Deluxe version. It's basically, we'll see if we can get this to, yeah, that looks pretty good. It's basically all of their promotional videos and or some live performances. So they're music films. You know, it's interesting because before MTV and all that sort of thing, like I think the Beatles may have been the first people to do it, but to send a promotional film out instead of yourself. Like instead of going to the Ed Sullivan Show, you'd send a video to the Ed Sullivan Show and be like, hello, we're the Beatles, and we made this video. Sorry we can't be there, but here's our video. I hope you enjoy it. And they're all here. This is a really sweet package. Love the psychedelic coloring. That's got a built-in book, and it comes with a copy of the Beatles One album, all their #1 hits, I guess. And this is just really, really well done. This is another official release from Apple. I wish we got more official releases, like Let It Be. Let's talk about Let It Be really quick. That's a movie that Apple made. The Beatles' company made Let It Be, and it was so sad and like tense and uncomfortable that it got a release. I think it even got like an early VHS or a Betamax release, but they never put it on DVD. And here we are, like a good 10, 12 years into the Blu-ray format, and I don't know that we're ever going to get it because I don't think that Paul or Ringo like how they come across in the movie. There are bootlegs out there. I have a bootleg somewhere. It's a digital file, so I have it somewhere, but I can't really show it to you. But it's rough, man. Like if you've ever seen it, it's like Paul is basically dictating to George how he wants something to be played, and George is like, "I'll play whatever you want me to play." "Oh, I won't play it all." Just that needs. "I'll play whatever you want me to play." "Or I won't play it all. Whatever it is that will please you, just tell me and I'll do it." It's terrible Beatles impression. Terrible George. Apologies, but I can't stop. I can't stop. It's like really kind of a bummer, but Beatles fans want it. I think most Beatles fans probably have it in some fashion. So that's that. And then let's also talk about the concert for Bangladesh. This was a concert that George spearheaded as a benefit. It was like the first rock and roll benefit concert. It has Bob Dylan. Let's see if I can do this from memory. Bob Dylan, Ravi Shankar, Eric Clapton, Ringo, Leon Russell, Billy Preston. Let's see, Ala Raka, Jim Kelter. I got Klaus Vormann. I got pretty much everybody that you would want to know about. And it was a early 70s. When did this happen? I should not bring things up like this without having dates. Yes, I was right. 1971. August of 1971. And there was a companion album. That was the cover of the companion album. Really fantastic music. Really wonderful. And this is a really great package too. It's got a nice slipcase, fold out, three panels, 2 discs. This is one that you don't see talked about all that much. It's like a critical part of Beatles videography, but you don't see a lot of people talking about it. So I'm really happy that I have that. I have, what is this called? Paul McCartney in Red Square. This is when he played in Red Square, Russia in, I'm trying to find the year on this, 2003. It was the first time that his first ever concert in Russia, so it was a big deal. So this was captured in time and space for all to see. There's also another concert. What do I have? I have Good Evening New York City. This is cool. This was him. This was more recent, so this is a more recent show. So this is the flap that was on the back with the set list on it. There's your set list. It's got Come on, work it out. We can work it out. It's a two-disc set. This is another one that has a book inside attached to it. And that's a good package. We're near the end. I only have 2 more things to show you. I'm saving the best for last. I figured I'd talk about this. This is not technically the Beatles, but it is a movie. This is Across the Universe. It is a movie composed of Beatles music. Not their music, cover versions of their music, but like a lot of their songs are in the movie, cover versions by, it's got Evan Rachel Wood in it, who is now blowing it up on Westworld. And it basically uses the Beatles music, the Beatles lyrics to tell a fictional story about like the late 60s. And it's got a little cameo from Bono there of U2. Beatles fans seem to be divided on Across the Universe, but I like it. I know that some of the hardcores are like, it's a travesty. I have a friend who is, he does not, like, I think he hates it. He actively hates Across the Universe, but I like it. I think that it has a place, if you can separate it from the Beatles, is like, they didn't do it. They didn't really have anything to do with it. It's just it's an interpretation of their music and their art. Like, I feel like it's pretty good. But what I think is so much better, and is one of my favorite things ever, is the Rutles. All You Need Is Cash. Yes, yes. The parody film that came on television in America in the 1976, I believe. It's Eric Idle here. All You Need Is Cash. It's Eric Idle. Eric Idle, Ricky Fitzar, who was a member of the Beach Boys for a while in the 70s. Who is the guy that plays Ringo? I can't remember his name. Oh, this is embarrassing. John Halsey. And Neil Innes. Neil Innes is the guy that I was talking about from the Magical Mystery Tour, or the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, and the guy from Monty Python. He is brave, so Robin. He wrote all the music for this, and then I think he and Eric Idle came up with the lyrics together, but I could be wrong about that. But it is the most accurate and humorous lampoon of the Beatles that will ever be made. Like, it is done with so much love, but irreverence and humor. And so, like, George Harrison loved this. I think he may have helped pay for it. I'm not sure. But it's got a lot of early people from Saturday Night Live, because it was produced by Lorne Michaels. Lorne Michaels produced it, right? And he brought along, so like Gilda Radner, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd. Is there anybody else in it? That's the ones that they immediately leaped to. Oh, Belushi. Belushi's in it too. John Belushi. Just hilarious. And so, like, instead of getting addicted to the jazz cigarettes as they really did in real life, not addicted, but instead, partaking of jazz cigarettes, they in this movie they get addicted to, they fall in with tea. And so George in real life liked that so much that he would often refer to the sweet leaf as tea. And that was kind of in the culture, like Aerosmith, I think, and sleeping late and smoking tea, like that's a thing. But like, if you see interviews, like on the Beatles Anthology, he'd be like, well, we were in the back of the limo drinking tea, and he's talking about jazz cigarettes. But I think that's really funny, because he's in this, like, he has a cameo as a news anchor or a news reporter in this movie. So if you haven't seen the Rutles, All You Need Is Cash, I highly recommend it. This edition is out of print. There is a Blu-ray version that I've stayed away from because they have cropped the image. Instead of, like, this wasn't, as far as I know, this was not masked or anything. It was shot for television, so it is a square image, and they have zoomed and cropped on the Blu-ray. And people are complaining, if you read reviews online, people are like, it's obviously zoomed in and it's obviously cropped. So this is the purest presentation of the original special as it aired. So that is my Beatles DVD and Blu-ray collection. Kind of is impressive, right? Like, it's decent. There's some things that I don't have. There are some concerts from Paul that I don't have. There are other things that are kind of in and around that I need to pick up at some point. But that's my collection. So thanks for hanging out with me and pulling some stuff off the shelf, checking it out. We will do this from time to time. Let me know what you'd like to see spotlighted in a future collection spotlight. I mean, we'll do a tour one of these days. I still have to build more shelves on this wall. Here, you know what? Let's just do it. There. That's the first time that's ever been seen. That's a whole other wall, and I have another. See all that crap over there? I gotta build another set of shelves over there. So that's what I'm waiting on, because it will be so much prettier if I. Oh no! All the Beatles the discs just fell. So that's what I need to do, is build that, and I've been putting off a collection tour video until then. But let me know if there's anything you're interested in, even music, like music spotlights too. We can do that. So let me know. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your time. This is a little bit of a longer video, but hopefully you hung in there. Hey, if you made it this far, you did it. You're a winner. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Give it a thumbs up. Head over to serialatmidnight.com. There's a lot of cool stuff happening at serialatmidnight.com. I'm back to publishing written articles, written reviews of things, and I've actually, I can't really tip too much, but I've actually been working with a couple of companies to review some of their products in a good, not in a shilly way, but like stuff that we would like already. Like they want reviews from Serial at Midnight, which is wonderful. So those will be appearing on serialatmidnight.com. So always make a destination for that, and I'm working on a Space Lounge volume that will be dropping hopefully within the next few days. I'm excited about it. It's if you haven't seen it, Space Lounge is like I spotlight rare, esoteric, exotica music, lounge music, but just like really cool music, cool music that I think deserves more of a spotlight. Like things that were like really trippy in the 60s and even in the 50s sometimes, but that have just completely dried up off the face of the earth and nobody seems to be talking about it anymore. So that's coming. In the meantime, thank you so much. Please hit subscribe. Please give it a thumbs up if you like this video. Let me know what you want to see, and I will catch you. And I will catch you. So this is George, and I want to thank you for watching the video. And I hope that you'll visit the website, but if you don't, it's fine, really. I'm losing it. But thank you for watching the video, and I'll catch you later.